Okay, doing something a bit different. Rebuilding my little mini tower, and normally I would stream around now. Hang on, can I? There we go. Problem solved. Oh, not really. I love using my mechanical desk because it makes me feel like a mechanic. Like, especially when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I like bring it up to me like I'm like jacking up a truck. So I've had a few system failures, hence not doing the normal dev stream. So what happened yesterday, Thursday at work, I get to work and my Mac laptop isn't charging or turning on. I'm like, uh-oh, it's a Pro M1, so like, definitely don't want to fritz that. And I was like checking different ports and things like that, and well, just the one port, but I realized, I was like, oh, it feels kind of wet, and I was like, oh, that sinking feeling of like, oh no, and my bag's wet, water bottle leak, classic scenario. And then I used it a bit, and well, basically I let it dry for a while, and then I turned it back on, or it turned on, I can't remember, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm using it. And then I'm in a meeting with my creative director, and it's just like humming, like, and I'm just like, I'm a pretty optimistic person, which can work to my benefit or my detriment. Basically, I was like to my boss, oh yeah, I think it's must be like an Apple feature that that dries the fan. Was my thinking. Dries the motherboard out. So I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty smart. Wow, these M1s, like silicon chip, self-drying. And then I was like, just curious, like what the tech was and how they do it. And so I looked it up, and it's just like, help, spilt glass of water on MacBook, fan won't turn off, and it's like an SMC, like a control board issue. It's like really serious, and it usually means it's cooked. But basically all the advice, and the same thing had happened to Ray, which is good because like I felt like a bit of an idiot, obviously, was put it in rice basically. So it's in a drawer with half a bag of rice and any silica packets I could find as well, because it makes sense, right? I saw that mentioned as well. So yeah, I've been able to use my laptop the past few days, like since Thursday, obviously. It's been kind of good. I think like I've been working, I'd say like 12 plus hours a day for like a year now, because I work a full-time job around Nova. And it's pretty hard. Well, it's like a kind of game dev style job, so it's like it can take a lot of being on the computer concentrating. So this is my Meshalicious case, which has been sitting in the garage because my cat peed on it like a while ago, and it was fine. I don't think it got into any of the bits, but it was just like, I knew it'd be a big job to clean it properly, and it smelled really bad, basically. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what the fuck is this? Where is it? And then I just like had this sinking feeling and like lifted up the computer, and it was just like not pleasant. And so where I'm at right now is actually trying to get rid of the last of the smell zones. I don't think I've ruined this computer. I definitely think it's a bit ironic that I'm like, because I don't have a computer because I gave it water damage. So I'm like, all right, I'll get my other computer out of storage and spray it with water over and over again. But I don't think I've got it on any of the chips or anything like that. But what I did do last night, so the internal, I've got a RTX 2080. I kind of built this around. It's a good fit. And they're apparently notoriously difficult to, basically, if you can see in here, it's kind of hard. This I think they call it the cooling something volume or some cool zone atmosphere, some word. Basically, it's full of dust, and I was like, "Fuck, I'll just pop it open and have a look." Turns out, so I just start unscrewing. Turns out it was like 100 screws, and it's one of the hardest cards to tear down. And so I get to the point about, and this is like 1 a.m. This is like like 12 hours ago, I guess. What time is it now here? So less than 12 hours ago, actually. I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm actually gonna have to look at a tutorial. Fuck. Which, if I'm trying to figure something out, I don't mind looking at a tutorial, like if that's the mode I'm in. But like when I'm just poking around, I don't want to like listen to something like this. So I watched the tutorial while I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck to do next. So I got about halfway through, and it's about 10 minutes. And about 10 minutes in, he's like, "We actually couldn't get past this point, and it fucked up our whole day of filming." And I'm at this point like, oh, my stomach drops, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I just keep poking away, and it ended up being what I thought it was, which is this plate needs to come off the top here. Right. And he did it with because then I was like, all right, I'll watch the sequel or whatever, because it was like, and like a follow-up video, which is like when you've got a tricky piece of work in front of you, and you have to do 2 videos about it. And I don't know if my hands smell. It's driving me fucking crazy. So I've got another rag. Somebody wonder, is there any chance he's peeing in the bottle somehow? He's cracking the lid, and so it's basically glued on for some fucking reason. Like, what? I guess because they just want to be able to say, if you've gone past this point, the warranty is voided. So he pulls out this huge, looks like a fucking giant, self-massager. And I'm like, okay. Because up to this point, he's using all these specialty tools, but I'm just doing my own thing. At this point, it might just be like phantom pee syndrome. I don't know. They'll have to do it. It's pretty clean. It's pretty good. This will always just be a computer that I'm worried will smell. But it's better than it was. Finish beats perfect. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's it for me then. I'm like, I don't have a giant, what do they call it, a heat gun or something, I can't remember. But then I'm like, wait a minute, my wife, Chloe, looks a little bit like a hairdryer. I wonder. And so, yeah, I get the Chloe's hairdryer out, and that does it, basically. So I popped it off by blasting it with a hairdryer. You can see there's like a photo log on my Twitter, at Samuel Tates. It's probably the best photo log I've ever done. Popped it off. It's a bit scratched up around here. It's okay. But I did tear out the, pretty sure this is just like basic power to the, what I'm guessing, I can't really remember because I haven't used it in ages. But I'm guessing that this lit up. I think so. So I also knocked a capacitor, a tiny little one off. So I'm pretty sure I fucked the card, but less than well, I don't know. I don't know what I thought I was doing. I think I'd had we just got one of those big coffee pots, like the American style, and I was just drinking coffee after coffee just for fun, I guess. I don't know. Why does anyone do anything? So anyway, this is the Meshalicious. I got it a while ago now. And I just wanted something really compact, basically. And idea being, I've got one of the Xiaomi 4K Ultra HD short throws. So these little boxes you can put against the wall. It does 4K up to 150 inches, right? So imagine that, like this little box and this little box, and you could just like make a wall of light, right? That's kind of the idea. And you know, I don't know, like I haven't really gotten as much use out of it as I thought I would. Like the game development, like you're almost intrinsically always going to be working in like the kind of stuff I do in VR. It doesn't really come close to the limits of you know, most PCs, and then the kind of like slowdowns that I deal with Unity, like aren't really connected as much to the performance of the PC as much as just Unity's architecture. I don't really do, and then I feel like stuff like Photoshop and Blender, it really does still have like quite a ceiling, like where I still end up hitting, like at some point, like some sort of framiness and like the extra juice. I don't know. I guess it was actually, now I think about it, of course it was better. I had a 1080 before. I think you just get used to what you've got almost immediately. Yep. So I didn't write down or keep track of how I plugged anything in. That would be too easy. And I'm that special kind of lazy where you make things harder for yourself. Like I'll definitely do something harder if it's easier. Like I think other people are more strategic, and that's their strength, and they kind of stop and think about what they're doing and why they're doing it. But I'm very much kind of just go with the flow of it. Different strengths. My wife is very much that other type, where she'll think things through, a bit more cautious and thoughtful, which I think is sort of a good pair. So yeah, I've been having a pretty good time lately. For anyone that, I think there's a few people that I know have watched these videos over the years. Like Mum is, still like sick, but in really good care now. Like whereas before that's why I bought this actually, is because I needed 2 workstations between houses as I was going back and forth. And so yeah, she's in really good care, and so I'm at home with Chloe. We have our own place now, which is awesome. We were looking at a share house before, and yeah, kind of randomly picked up Nova as this like obsessive project. Anyone that has only started watching these recently would assume that's my whole life, but it's actually quite a outlier. I'm normally like at work, I'm a VR dev basically, at its simplest, spatial operating expert, whatever, some shit. And like yeah, pushed pretty hard to get Nova to like a good spot, I guess, and feeling pretty. That's weird. These are screws, but these are Allen keys. Feeling pretty. Oh, hello. Someone's popped on. How you going? just rebuilding my Meshalicious because my cat peed on it. And so I'm just stripping it out. No, not Nova at the moment. I was just saying actually, well, yeah, basically I kind of hit this threshold where, those are rivets. I spilled a bottle of water on my MacBook on Thursday, and so it's in a drawer full of rice. And so this is my tower. It's a little Meshalicious, a 2080. But it's been in the garage because my cat peed on it. So I think it's fine. It's just full of cat pee. And so I've cleaned it all out now. So don't worry, this isn't a cat pee related stream. I won't say that again. I'm just putting it back together. I was just kind of went a bit crazy. I might have ruined the graphics card, to be honest. We'll see. Yeah, I was just saying, like, Nova kind of came out of left field because I'm normally a VR dev. And I just, I used GPT, and I had this experience with it where the first time I used it, I've never actually used ChatGPT. It's my weird secret, well, it's not a secret now, is it? I didn't know that it existed. I was just using the API. Yeah, right. Oh, piss, it's such a hard, I don't know. I'm a bit worried sometimes that I've just accepted the smell at home. No, I think we've got on top of it. I'm literally wearing my pajamas too, so don't judge me. I just feel like I make myself sound like a scrub. But yeah, so Nova's been going. I'm pretty happy with it. It was this big long haul, 6 months plus to get from my first iteration, which was the middle of the year, to the stable ground that I'm on now. I've got these things that I want to do and I'm doing in the background, but it's kind of on, quicksand a little bit because I made, you just make stuff pretty quickly and you're prototyping and that's all good. But I kind of I'm pretty happy with the baseline now, and I've actually started doing that deeper work of creating an underlying file system that it can use and navigate through better. I'm sort of refactoring. The way I think of it is I'm making the UX for the AI, if that makes sense. So I'm building out the system that interprets the available content and spits out a prompt. So it says these are the files that are available, these are the commands, and then the system that can edit that. So it's this shared operating system between you and the AI you're working with, basically, which might just be a computer, but my instinct is that having an abstracted layer on top lets you kind of control the variables and things like that. So I'm feeling pretty good because it's I've been working with this fevered urgency for the past year, because there's this baseline I knew I wanted it to be at that was, I think, mostly to do with bug free and easier code base to manage, and then also had a good onboarding. And so at least if someone does sign on to Nova, it's not, I don't think it's really consumer friendly yet, that's the reality of it, but it's at least there's some guidance and chance of if someone that could get it uses it, they might get it. Still a long ways to go there, and in a sense, I kind of realized I'm still working on the actual the sort of concept as well, if that makes sense, where it still doesn't do what I want it to do yet. So I can spend all this time on onboarding and marketing, to reel people in, which maybe that's what I should be doing. I don't know, but and it's kind of I treat that usability as its own feature sprint, really. And so I've hit that, and now I can switch back to really focusing on how it interacts with me and my data and does what it needs to do, and actually because the whole theory with me making Nova was all right, if this can be a force multiplier for myself, then I'm gonna get this in. I don't remember. It was in before. It needs to go before the fans. Then even if I didn't ship it to anyone, and it was just a 2x multiplier on my own abilities, like that's worth a year's work anyway, if you know what I mean. So I can kind of go back to focusing on how I want to use it and stop worrying about like the onboarding and shit. And you know, I guess the point being is I don't feel rushed and stressed right now because I kind of hit my external goals. How you going? Sign one. Have you used Nova? You said Nova, like, and so I just started talking. Well, I was already kind of talking about it, but like maybe you're Roman and you're talking about the sun. Ask me anything about Nova. It's my favorite topic. Oh, fuck, did I get this in? Maybe these screw off. My stream froze. Oh man, I just said so much stuff. That's right. So it's an ITX Meshalicious. So yeah, it is mini. Like, I guess I don't really have anything for scale. This horse. It's funny. Like, my first PC I bought in ages was like 10 years ago now. And 10 years, fuck now. And I got this like really sleek, you know, sexy aluminium case. But I also just got like the most expensive, you know, I was just getting the sickest thing I could get, right? Which is fine, that's okay. It's all right to want nice things. And here we go. And then I get the motherboard, like I get everything shipped and it's arrived and blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm gonna do this. And the motherboard doesn't fit in the case because I've gotten this like big Whopper motherboard because it's just like, yeah, look at this big bad boy. And I'm looking at it like, how does this shit work? Like, am I supposed to? And I remember at one point being like, do these, like, I can be the dumbest person in the world, but I was like, do these like, are they like SIM cards? Do they like snap off? Thankfully, I didn't snap my motherboard in half trying to get the micro SIM out of it. And then I was so desperate to like use my computer. I've been waiting for so long, and so I went to PC Case Gear, which is in Australia, and I bought what is the biggest computer case I've ever seen. It's like a full networking ready, like NAS ready tower that has slots for 10 hard drives. So it's like half a meter tall, and so then I've like fully overcompensated and gone for the tiniest computer ever, which is just, you know, the thinking being like, because yeah, we do a lot of like immersive installations and stuff. Because I work at a VR company basically, so it's kind of more what I'm doing day to day. And how's that looking? Like, you know, what does a tiny little rig look like? What's the smallest, most powerful cube? I don't know if you've seen the micro cubes. What have you got? What are you working with at the moment? And then, God bless him, my really good friend who helped me put all this together when I'd finished setting this up. This was when I set this one up the first time. It was a couple of years ago now, 2 I guess as well. And he's just like, oh, you've put the fans on backwards. And once again, I was just too keen to get going. I guess you'll always know Sinome. You'll always know when you see my stream that my computer probably smells. But no one else will. It can be our little secret, right? And so yeah, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'll just let the fans run backwards. So it's I feel like I messaged him and I was like, bro, I'm redoing I'm rebuilding it. I'm putting the fans on. I'm sure he's like had like a little OCD tweak in the back of his head for the past like however many years, knowing that. Are these? Are these pop ribbons? Just trying to see how this would come off from here. Like, surely this wasn't pop riveted on. That doesn't make sense. Ugh. You know what? Maybe I should dismantle this and actually get into all the cracks. It's kind of gross. Using a 10-year-old steam machine. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. It's like, I think you've got to recognize sometimes with this stuff that, like, you're getting it as a treat. And, like, different phases in your life, you can do that, but not to get pulled into it. Like, my old 1080 is like, it's a workhorse. My wife uses it all the time she plays Baldur's Gate. So I work at a company called Foria. So I don't know if you got Quest, but we made, it's like a nature app. It's called Ecosphere. So it's obviously Quest only. Well, not obviously, but they Meta paid us to do it. And so it's the kind of stuff I do at work. I'm like a Unity dev, or creative technologist, like call me, but whatever. It's pretty popular. Like, got it's nearly 1 million views now, 4+ stars, whatever. So it's like, that's the bread winner. But then I make my own little things. So like at the moment I'm working on Nova, which is that AI that I was talking about. So if you go to asknova.ai, that's what I've been cooking this year. But the idea is to make like a creative, Quest 1, yeah. So did you might have tried Ecosphere? I don't know, I think it came out with Quest 2. Quest 1, I've still got the Quest 1. Where is it? Look at this bad boy. Look at this fucking bad boy. I love it. It's Quest 1, but it's got the Steam audio strap on it. Fuck this baby. I love it. And like custom interface. That's when I used to give a shit. Now I'm just like, put it on there. I've been working in VR now for like 8 years, and like less, into the. I still like it and stuff. But anyway, so I'm making Nova at the moment, which I want to be like a creative partner. But before that, so like my current in development game is called Ends of Time, which is like a VR adventure game. And then what I would say is my first game that I like published properly is called Digging Simulator 2020, which I didn't put out in 2020. I can't remember why I call it that. Maybe I did. I can't remember. Whatever. And it's still my most like popular thing by far. And it's just, you just dig holes basically. So it's only on Quest. I put it out with the Quest 1. I developed it on the big rig. And still just like 15 minutes average playtime, which is crazy. Like Ecosphere doesn't get that, and it was like cost like $500,000 to make. And people still play it, so I keep coming back to like maybe I should just be working on that. Like it's but Ends of Time I want to make like well, I've kind of got a rule that I like finish one thing before I start another thing, and I sort of broke that rule with Nova a bit. And it was this sort of like weird loophole where I needed to make a web page for Ends of Time. So I needed to update my page. And then to do that, I needed to learn React. And then while I was doing that, GPT came out and I was like, I need to make a chat agent for my web page that can talk about the game. But then I was like, but I want that chat agent to be able to work on the game with me. And then, kind of like role play the game with people on the site and then talk to me about it. And so then I've been making Nova, and it's just like, I realized the other day I actually didn't finish didn't finish the page for the game. I finished the page, but the link on my page doesn't go to it. It's like an error. So it's like been a year and a half sidetrack, and I didn't actually do what I was supposed to do, like for the game marketing. But I'm pretty close, I think, to spinning it out. Yeah, try Digging Simulator. Like Ecosphere is sick, for sure, and it's like works pretty good on the Quest. It's like, you know, I made like the menus and the Unity stuff, and then Digging Simulator, I'm pretty proud of it. And I'm like, it's what I love about making this stuff is that, you know, people enjoying it, and so having made something that like I can see has made some people like have so much fun. I'm like, that's really cool, actually. Is GPT useful for VR development? Like, it's useful for everything. You just need to know how to use it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see it as a big word calculator where you give it a bunch of words and then it performs transformations on them. So the words that you give it might be the questions and then like the errors that you've got, and then it's able to sort of predict and navigate you to the sort of point in latent vector space that has the types of words that would follow those words within a certain range of probability. So it's like it helps you get your head into the zones that you need to be. Like but if you're just like treating it like a senior dev, like it'll work for a while, but then there'll be this sort of like shocking moment of like, oh wait, you don't know what I'm. You don't know, you can't know, you're just a word calculator. So it's just like being able to use it like the right way to get yourself to be able to explore conceptual areas. Like, and the thing is that like I haven't used it that much for Unity because I've been using it so I use Nova to make Nova. I'd never written Python, I'd never written React, or maybe I'd done a bit of React stuff. And it's an entire Python asynchronous web server with a React front end and blah, blah, blah. And then when I think it's Unity or, VR dev, like is obviously C# for Unity, whatever, but it's a bit more, it's a bit less documented. It's a bit more esoteric. So I feel like there's so much information about, like Python and React, and it's been crazy deving in those areas and seeing how much better the documentation is. Like game dev documentation, like, forums, everyone's so mean and cranky and you have to like debase yourself at the foot of like, like the Unity forum and have everyone be like, firstly, give up on your dreams, you fuckwit. Pardon me for swearing, Twitch, or how that works. Secondly, you're an idiot and everything you've ever done. And then if you then say like, oh, good point, they'll be like, okay, here's how you fix it. Whereas in React, it's like, oh, hey buddy, yeah. Or like, Stack Overflow for web things. It's like, hey, yeah, wow, it's a tricky problem. I actually built a little prototype to show you how to do it. Here's a library I made, and here's like 15 open source projects that all connect to it. Have a good day. And I think it's just because like React devs and web devs and like regular devs, I guess, just get paid more and there's more work. So they're like able to be, they're just like stressed. Like all the Unity devs are all just like one bad day away from I've created a conundrum. My, what's this called? Standing desk lifted itself so high that it pulled its own plug out and it can't reach it, so I can't put it down. That's fine. Fix that later. All right, so I don't know how to get this base open. Did you say you have a Meshalicious or you have a piss-covered computer? I can't remember what was the common thread. But yeah, the Meshalicious is so cool. Like there's, I don't know, like you never know what you're going to get into, right? Like, and I definitely didn't think like weird tiny cases because it's got this like all the outsides pop off and they're all a mesh. Hence the mesh in Meshalicious. I'm just gonna I'm gonna power through. I'm gonna get this built. I'm just like, this is more like a one-act play where I'm like a bartender cleaning glasses and talking about like how the neighborhood's changed since the end of Prohibition. Okay, so it's gonna go through. I remember this being quite difficult last time, but I feel like it was a bit dumber. wasn't medicated for ADHD, so there's a lot of stuff that I remember being quite difficult, but I just like wasn't as able to concentrate properly. But that being said, that's classic red flag if I'm about to stitch myself up. But you definitely do get just. I think also like it's funny stuff like this. You just get better at doing it. Like it's such an obvious property of like the human experience, but it's still such a pleasant surprise when you're like, oh, I'm better at this. Like even I've been doing a lot of like I wouldn't call it construction work, like the DIY tooly stuff outside, and then like dealing with all the different screws on the graphics card. I wasn't really that overwhelmed. Like it's not that different to like breaking down a pallet or something. And like even though it's so different as well, like my fan is bigger than your PC. What do you mean? Oh, because you got the Steam. What did you say? The Steam box. I never really like. I think it's about the same generation, right? Like, what? Tell me about that. Like, it's got a regular graphics card, like a, or like, yeah. What is it? Do you do game dev or something? Or VR? It's pretty, I don't want to say easy, but it's fun and good. It's actually quite difficult. It's, yeah, I didn't realize, like, I was actually going to be a lawyer. And then I decided I didn't want to work in law. Like, I finished the degree and everything, but because it would be too competitive and the hours would be too long. And then, like, literally pick the second hardest industry to like get a job in, and also like has just so much crunch and stuff like that. But like I don't know, it's fun. I think it's fun to use your brain. And but yeah, your game dev is my question. Sorry, I'm like asking you a question and then answering a different one. The sign-on interviews. Oh fuck that. I fucked up. Maybe my ADHD isn't as treated as I thought it was. This needs to like get in here. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. Hey, alright. Call the doctor, tell him I'm cured. Fuck, I need to make sure that these fans are actually facing the right way. Oh, but I couldn't be bothered. I'm pretty sure Oh, sorry, hang on. I don't normally do like this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's the fans. So they go into this. Someone, I think if this is what they were talking about, I'm not actually sure. They called it like the something or other. good. They called it like the atmospheric envelope or something like that. But this huge grill thing that's it's kind of hidden now. But it's like a big cooling radiator kind of thing that a car has, where it's just like, I guess designed to like capture and dissipate heat. Would be my assumption. And it was just full of crystallized cat piss, which is so gross. And I like washed it in the sink. If you use Twitter, go to Samuel Tates, SAMUELTATES. I think it's my Twitch name as well. And I did, because I was just like cranking out photos of like me cleaning it all out and stuff like that last night. Now, so this is the graphics card. It's the RTX 2080. I am a little bit worried that I cooked it last night. Basically, turns out it's one of the hardest cards to break down because it's like all aluminium. Because I was like, oh, I'll just there's dust inside of it. I'll just open it up and easy peasy. And then I finally was like, all right, I'm gonna have to look at a video. And then the guy in the video 10 minutes in is like, we weren't able to open this, and it fucked our shooting schedule. I'm sorry, everybody. but then he did another one. You needed the heat gun, which that's fine. I did rip the RGB or like the lighting for the side off. And I did pop it off, and I did knock a capacitor out and a few. So we'll see. We'll see if it works. But it's the RTX 2080. Like this is the best. I'm not being like also like flippant. Like this is the best stuff I have, and it was a big deal to get it. You know. All right, I'm problem solving. I'm gonna get this desk lowered. Oh, there we go. That's better. These old bones. Yeah, you're a dev. Not that it matters that much, but it's more like, you know, I don't want to talk about dev stuff if that's boring or whatever. But I do love talking about dev stuff. I'm sorry, yeah, it's cool. I actually got it. It was kind of an impulse buy, in the sense of like, I kind of got it before I got. It's complicated. But you know, what else we had to talk about? My computer, I guess. Like I decided that I needed more compute a little bit, you know, like, and maybe I was just searching garbage. It might have been one of those things where I was just like, basically I saw it online, and this is quite a while ago still, for $800 Australian. Like someone selling it secondhand, and I think it's just like, oh, that's a good deal, and I do need a, you know, new computer, and I think basically I just done a big like detailing on my old rig, and I was like, you know what, you deserve a not dev but working on VR. I like chatting with who are working on VR. What are you working on? So you know, if you're working on an app, you're a dev, right? Like, you know, a maker of things, I guess. What are you working on? You answer that, I'll finish this story. Basically, I wanted to give my old computer a present. You know, like getting an old dog, a new dog bed kind of vibe or something. I don't know. But then I realized that the 2080 was bottlenecking on my old computer because of the CPU, and you might be familiar with it. Oh, it's like this random bottleneck in modern tech hardware where basically, I think it's an Intel 5 or 7 CPU, I can't remember. Like it bottlenecks graphics cards past the 1080, which I think a 1060 before, and so it's like, oh, easy, get a new CPU, like awesome. But the motherboards that supported, what is it? The motherboards that supported that CPU don't support the next generations, and then the next generation of motherboards don't support DDR3 RAM. So it was this like one little overlap of incompatibility between the graphics, like that caused this cascading, like nothing, you know, would work. And I probably could have accepted just this in the old computer as a 2080 as a bottleneck of like 10% or whatever. But then at the same time, I've been looking at trying out like kind of like crypto mining or whatever, like just experimenting with it. Like obviously I'd love to get rich off some dumb computer shit, but more, you know, I'm a technologist, whatever. So I'm just curious about stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, if I take my old computer, my dad's got a solar shack in the bush that all runs off like car battery solar, like, but that I know can run the old computer. Have a Raspberry Pi that turns it on, starts it mining some like shitcoin that like is, you know, cents, you know, $1 a day or whatever, which you wouldn't do if you were paying for power, and leave that running for 2 years. It'll pay for this computer, which I didn't do. Closed down playing Baldur's Gate, but I do want to do that eventually. I just got solar installed at my house actually, which is pretty cool. So I think I am going to do the plan. And so I guess that was all bubbling away in my head, and I like that I want a new computer, and then I saw this on Gumtree, $800. All right. So I'm kind of not doing us any favors by putting the fans in first, I realized, but that's okay. Let's get this bad boy going. And it was pretty exciting getting this. Like, I just love computers. I've realized, like, I could be doing anything with them. I don't give a shit. I just like using them. I think it's like born in the right era. I think that, 200 years ago, well, I don't know, 500 years ago, I would have been a Franciscan monk, because that's where all the like quills were, like whatever the highest data transfer rate is. 200 years ago, I'd probably be fucking dead in the Celtic diaspora. Oh, no, that's not true, because my ancestors didn't die, and they're probably pretty similar to me. So I probably would have been, I don't know, administering a golf course for a noble. Some sort of like bureaucratic service class role. All right, so yeah, putting the motherboard in. I need to get new thermal paste, but that's not happening today. And yeah, to make things exciting for myself, I didn't keep track of what screws go where. You can sort of figure it out by like just seeing how many you've got of each, right? My like main advice from my dad was like always, this wasn't to do with computers, but like always keep every screw, like whatever you're doing, even if it's like on one screw, to unscrew something, to put it back in 1 second later, get a small container and always put the screws in the container. And it's that rule or whatever has served me very well over the years. Like whenever I don't do it, because even if you haven't lost a screw, there's always that like, do I have all the screws here? Is there one under the table? So it's like, it's funny all the little bits of advice that like come back to me from my dad. Great time to be a miner. Now, you reckon? Or a few years ago? Should I do it? I'm gonna do it. I think that's the plan. I kind of have this like image of like how like energy, capture and processing, which can be distributed now, can then like sort of be coupled to, and is like this is happening. It's not like it's something that has to happen by policy to like compute capacity, because like the limit to any like pricing variables for like crypto, which is whether or not you consider it valid, that's a different question, is economic activity. So there's economic systems that even if they have infinitesimally small value, that itself is quantifiable, whatever, then you've got this like, okay, the value of the compute economically, crypto wise, right? Economically, the value of the compute that you're using economically is defined by that energy cost, if you know what I mean. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And then like, so it's that sort of like economic system built around like a location's ability to capture and collect energy and also like process information. It's reflective of the compute and energy properties of, like locally, individually, like if I've got a house and a Bitcoin miner and a solar panel, that's that. But then it also like creates these new types of conduits between energy systems, basically, which is all really even capital and stuff is. It's just like reflections of, potential energy, whether it's labor force or whatever. And like human capacity, I guess. So like I'm really interested in like, and then it's sort of like the missing piece of the puzzle with this AI stuff is like showing that, because at the moment it's like, well, that compute capacity, like all these hard drive, like all these graphics cards in, you know, mines in China, like, yeah, sure, like it's like seems pretty useless. But then when you think of it and realize like, oh, okay, that compute capacity actually um like can represent like highly functional, like sort of digital capabilities, right? Like, you know, AI rendering, whatever, like the mind space of our shared, you know, digital consciousness. And you've got that, then you've got that like sort of three trifoil energetic, like relationship between energetic properties of the universe and our reality, the economic properties of our reality, you know, like that, which is like our abstraction layer for that, and then the like information processing and handling capacity. So it's this like three-part marketplace between those things. So I'm interested in it. Like, if I had 100 grand, I'd probably spend 50 grand on like solar, solar setup and mining setup. I'd do the math first. I'm like, will this make $50,001? And if it does, awesome. And, you know, but also factor in things like, you know, the cost of parts and blah, 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 and environmental impacts. But if you think about it, you're sort of creating a little like micro digital bank that is backed by the energetic properties of that region, if you know what I mean. The gold is the sun. And then you're offering, you know, compute to the economic systems of the whole world. So you're arbitraging that energetic capacity to other regions. And you're also like, that's like the buyer of last resort in the way that they'll do with like sort of old fossil fuels and stuff like that. They'll basically buy at a certain point. It's like a baseline. It's kind of subsidized that way, but it's sort of just that buyer of last resort is whatever crypto economy is tapping into it, whatever. And then you're also like generating like local compute that is then available to the world as well. So it's just like, I don't have the answer to why that's interesting to me, but it's sort of like a new type of, obviously like the whole crypto stuff's a new type of bank, but it's like, it's extending, because when you think about banking, it didn't just do money. Like money was just one part of like a wider range of system, like society level system capabilities of like property transfer and direction of production of capital. Do you know what I mean? And so that all kind of flows through the bank because they need the you know, and all its subsidiary systems of like legal systems and whatever, right? So it's sort of like the new like bank of energy, intelligence, and economic activity. And you can make like a little micro ring of that by making a little solar powered Dogecoin miner that generates memes or something, right? All right, I don't remember where anything went. So USB 2 is here. Let's get this together. There's a good chance that this will be broken because of what I did to the graphics card. In which case, I actually have a spare graphics card in the cupboard that I bought. And so, yeah, Bank of Energy, spot on, solar coin, right? And that year, I started just buying graphics cards off people, like just shit ones, because I just want to experiment. Like, to me, it's like, I don't think I'm the guy that can, you know, make the new JP Morgan or whatever. I'm just not ruthless enough. Or not, you know, I'm just whatever. But I can prototype that loop. And people already, this already exists. Like, I'm basically describing or like interpreting systems that I see emerging already, basically. It's not like I'm like inventing something there. So yeah, now I've got like It's just like I went through a phase where just anyone who was like, "Oh, I got this fucking graphics card," I was like, "I'll give you $100 for it." And so I've got, what have I got? This is my old 970. This is my first like good. When I was a kid, I'm 37, so I'm you know, when I was a kid, basically, I got, what was it? I think it was like a GTX like 80 or something. I don't know. And I lived in the tropics, and I was like, but when I was like, I remember being like 9 years old, and I used to be subscribed to PC Power Play, and Power LED, Power SW, and then it had a demo disc. You must be a capitalist waiting to create a monopoly. I wouldn't mind. I think I just like making systems. I wouldn't mind having lots of money. I wouldn't say no to that. But I'm just like, I'm surely like the one guy that like worked in crypto. So I worked at a Bitcoin exchange for a couple of years, like in the early days, and like the one guy that worked that deeply in crypto and didn't really like make any money really. Like I'm sure a lot of people actually didn't make money now. Think about it. But yeah, like I guess there's that like kind of irk factor of like not wanting to seem like you're like money hungry or whatever. But I find money interesting. Firstly, it's a property. It's a reflection of the survival, like the variables we need to be aware of for survival in like the current jungle of our modern society, right? It's just, but I also think it's like really interesting as a civic property and system that can be sort of like designed and considered. All right, so I'll do that later because I don't know exactly what goes where. This is kind of where you can see the ADHD kicking in, where like I took one photo at the start to be like, oh, this is where it goes. I'll be able to follow this later. And then it's just like, I don't want to do that. So you said you're making an app, you said? Or working on an app? Like what are you doing? So this goes on. How's the view here? Like this is, hey, number 2. We've got someone's popped in. I'm just having a chat with Sinome about, I guess you could call it like a 3-way system between energy capture, compute, and economic activity. While I'm rebuilding my Meshalicious that my cat peed on. How you doing? My lovely wife in the background. You can just see that okay. I'm not going to do any camera angle changes because this isn't really that type of channel. But hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So this is like a big fat cooling system. I probably should have gone on earlier. That's okay. Let's see if we can get it in anyway. Liquid cooling. Like I don't really understand what's going on here so much. Back in my day, I guess they had liquid cooling and stuff like that even back in the day. I've just never had it. So, like, does that mean there's liquid in these pipes? I don't know. That seems like risky, but why would they call it that otherwise? So like this, so I guess the heat sink or whatever. Yeah, this is the heat sink, but it's got these big pipes attached to it, and then these pipes attached to this thing here. So is it then running through something here? I'm not sure. Or maybe it's just like a way of dissipating heat. I don't know. Maybe this is like old news and everyone knows about this stuff. I remember back in the day, if you would put a CPU, you basically would put the CPU in, right? Then you had to like kind of like crack it in, like you sort of like snapping a cracker a little bit. And it was always this like, oh, I hope I haven't cooked it. Which is a bit the same with this, I guess. Instead of a crack, it's a little screw, which I guess you don't want to over tighten. Okay, this is going all right. So this stuff all plugs in somewhere. I think. Oh, that doesn't look good. It should. So maybe this all just plugs into the motherboard. So I remember these guys here were plugging into these guys. So let's just do this one at a time. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's put a number 1 on it. Is that significant? I guess we'll see. There's no number on it. Is that significant? Oh, here we go. There's a clue. CPU. All right, I should remember this. Oh shit! Here, ready to go. It. So my friend invited me to a day party after this. Well, it is after this. I don't really want to go, but like it's good to go, and like especially if someone's recognizing that someone's making an effort or reaching out to you to be like, hey, let's spend time together, right? Like it's like if I'm being literal, I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. Like I want to stay home and work on the computer. But oh wait, this person is making an effort. Oh, hey, Mima. Hello. This is my angel. Mima, help. Mima, help. Help. Come here. Nothing sweeter than my dog and my graphics cards. And so yeah, just trying to. I'll get these out anyway, Mima. Sorry. She's just like, get these graphics cards off my chair. Where do these go in? Looks like here. Oh, all right. See you, Mima. Screw's too big, yeah. Screw's too big. But it's been kind of cool. Like I realized, like I sort of just like also just like the gear, like like putting the computers together. And at work, we got 16 Quest 3s. Basically, we had this big event. We went to Dubai, so I like got flown to Dubai to like help run our stuff because I'm one of the devs who is pretty high social skills, I guess. And so I was like, oh, this is a good chance to like prep, like think about how we prep and handle and manage like our fleet. And I was like setting them all up, getting all the cables. And I was like, this is pretty fun. Like I used to be a muso, it's a term, and I was like, in bands and stuff like that. And that was like a big, like I realize now, like I think I just also loved all the gear part of being in a band. Like getting all the cables and get them all rolled up, and you've got your cases and your whatever. So it's nice to sort of connect with or get a better sense of like what makes you tick, I guess, as you get older. One of my dreams would be, I think it'd be cool. Like it always seemed actually one of the most like horrifying places to me when I was younger is those little small town computer shops. And you go in and it's like dusty graphics cards and everything's already sort of like double the cost or whatever. And like, so I wouldn't want to be like the person trying to like make their nut running a shop like that. Because I just feel like, I don't know, like I said, I'm just not very, is ruthless the right word? In terms of like, I wouldn't be able to charge someone a particularly big markup on their graphics card, and I wouldn't. I guess you just charge an hourly rate, maybe, plus like markup on parts, just like a mechanic. But like, whatever the business model, that doesn't really matter. That's not the point. If I like had enough money that, I wasn't trying to get ahead. I was like in a comfortable spot. It's like the equivalent of like moving to the country and starting like an antique store or something. It's like you've made a bit of money. You don't have to. Whatever is that I would love to start like a little computer shop where like obviously I can help people get parts and whatever. I'm already thinking about the economics of it, but just that doesn't matter. But I'm like just helping people fix their computers because I just love, poking around on the old computer and like, but just also kind of helping people as well. People come in and they're like, oh, it's doing this, it's doing that, I don't know. And it's sort of just being able to be like, okay, look, the way you're using it right now, you're like, you get into your emails via this weird app and then that causes this problem. And then, so you're like, but what you can actually do is like, here, let me fix that for you. There you go. And look, so if you put your calendar things here, you'll actually get updates on Bessie's whatever. And it's sort of like just helping people like solve problems in the area that I'm good at, which is the computer, and just like giving back to like, especially old people and stuff. Because but basically I did a lot of, my mum's really sick last year and this year and is still sick, but I was having to do a lot of work to look after her, but I was able to like help her a lot with like her digital stuff, and it really made a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, it was realizing how much the alpha is there of like people that don't have very high computer literacy getting like understanding, you can open all the tabs and not just being like kind of out at sea. So just imagine myself in this, but like I think someone made it like it might even be a video game where you like help people fix their problems and help them fix their computers. And I was like, fuck, that sounds sick. And then my wife could run like a cafe next door. Well, she wouldn't want to run a cafe, actually. She would want to do the antique store thing. All right, so here we go. GTX is going in. I'm not going to put this case back on. Firstly, because it won't go on easily. I can see where it should snap on, but it's not just clicking on straight away. Doesn't really need it anyway. And I'll probably will try and fix the lighting at some stage, so I'm going to leave that work undone. Now, yeah, the GTX is an interesting card. Sorry, the Meshalicious, sorry, is an interesting like configuration, right? Like, so it's got this whole back area is the graphics card. which should click in around. Aww. There we go. Oh, she's in. So this was caked in dust. It was pretty gross. Probably because I put the fans on backwards. Sorry, James. And I also snapped the fan blade off last night as well. I went nuts. I had a good time though. Like, if you're having fun, that's what matters. So yeah, and then it's kind of like lifted up here, which is interesting. And then it sort of sits over this cavity, and then you need to get like a 90-degree angle cable that will slot in so it can sit like this. But it's a great little case. I'm glad that it's no longer soaked in urine. And if it doesn't turn on, we've got a 10. What's this? Is this 10? I think this is a 1060. Maybe I'll stream putting that rig together because the offshoot or whatever of that last rig being super big is because I just like overspec'd it because I don't want to like risk getting the wrong size or anything again. Is that it can take up to 6 graphics cards, and yeah, I can make my little like solar Doge bank. People didn't care about Dogecoin anymore. That was my jam. I don't want to go to a doof. I stayed up too late last night. And it's tricky because the guy I'm going with, he's my friend, but he's also my boss. And like, which is like, not in that way. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble or anything like that. It's more like, you know, it can be a bit hard to switch between states there of like, you don't want to like, I don't know, it can just be like, I don't think he would realize it because it's not really, you know, I don't know if power imbalance is the right word. Well, I guess it is the right word, but it sounds a bit dramatic. Doesn't affect him, right? Where it's like I can't change his wage. But we get along, and I wouldn't connect with him. I wouldn't connect with other bosses the way I do with him, because I do genuinely quite like him. And when like I joined the company, like having met him at a doof actually. Doof is an Australian word for like Burning Man style, like festival, whatever. Whatever you want to call that. Fuck, I just love putting computers together. So I've been doing heaps of construction style work in my spare time, like making like little shacks and plaster and just whatever as a hobby. But then like it's come full circle with the see, you put the screw in first and then you put the thing in. With like, I kind of realized today putting this together, like since I put this together the first time, I've been doing heaps of construction, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually like better at using screwdrivers now because of the other stuff. Just, the human mind is, I'm so grateful for it. It's an incredible thing. this is kind of gross, but like if that'll focus, I'll get my face out of it. But it's basically like this one specifically is still like caked in cat pee. Like it kind of like hardens into this weird crystal. Basically, we got this little kitten. He turned up at our wedding. We had a wedding in the bush, which is like Australian word for forest. I don't know if people call it, but it's not a forest. It's the bush. Like it's like a dry, scrubby kind of. It's a different biome basically. We had a big like doof style wedding actually, and then people were just like, oh, we keep seeing this little cat around. Is there a cat? And we're like, well, we do have a cat here, but he's in the tent. He doesn't come to the, like, you know, he's on leash and, you know, he doesn't roam around. He would never do that. And then Chloe's mum was like, oh, we saw this little, I thought it was like a hat in the fire, like the fire had burned out, so it was just like warm ashes. And it was this little kitten that we named Bones, not because he was skinny, which is what people assume, and I'm too lazy to correct them because why bother, but because we kept finding Bones in the same spot as we're getting ready for the wedding, and Chloe like collects bones basically, and it was like we had this running joke that the forest was like giving us an offering or a blessing for the wedding, and that it was like some sort of creature that was like assembling itself by like depositing its bones in this one spot repeatedly. It's probably just like they kept getting like, you know, unearthed and, you know, whatever, like whatever. Like we don't need to know the actual source of the bones. It's not relevant to the story. And so that was just like our little, like, you know, cute little joke of like, oh yeah, it's like a cryptid that's assembling itself. And so yeah, then when Bones did appear, we were just like, oh, that must be it. Call it Bones, Lord of Darkness. And he's just like a little like tuxedo black and white cat. He's so sweet. I love him so much. And I've never really been a cat person. It kind of came out of left field a bit. Hang on, I'm pulling this out because I realised I probably want to get these power sockets in. Once again, I don't have a fucking clue which power like is supposed to go where. PCIe. That kind of clips in like that. So I'm pretty sure it's this. I don't know why. I think that. But let's find out. Whatever. I could look it up, but like my other computer is in a drawer full of rice, and then my phone is being used for this. So like I would normally be looking more stuff up, like every so often at least. All right. And I wouldn't normally be so like fast and loose with like scrubbing stuff and whatever, but like it's just been off for so long that I don't think there's really going to be any real risk of like power shorts or anything. And I don't know. Things are never as risky as they seem, though they are still risky. So a big thing with ADHD is like a massive like impulsiveness, but also like high risk taking behavior. It's to do with like self-stimulation almost. It's like you basically like taking risks, which can be beneficial when those risks are like good bets and whatever, but like can lead to like, you know, debt and all this shit. Like it's so it's kind of like blessing and a curse, where it's like led me along a lot of really good pathways, I think, but also like led me to drive my van into a sand dune and get $70,000 in credit card debt, but then also buy a bunch of fucking random cryptos had paid it off, and you know, so it's just like whatever, just go, just clean the PCI slot with a toothbrush. We'll see what happens. Take the risk. But since I'm treated for ADHD, I'm definitely like better at recognizing that I'm being impulsive and I'm overstimulated and I'm making bad decisions, and I sort of better not making so many bad decisions. I think my life's been doing a lot better since then. That's good. Objectively. All right, we're doing good. Here we go. So this is the power supply. Like, it's all pretty basic. Like, a lot of this stuff, Corsair is like, you know, grunt stuff. This is all recommended by my friend who is probably the smartest guy I know. So, like, very grateful to have his help on stuff like this. I feel like he kind of got me into the industry and space I'm in, like where, I don't know, he didn't even finish high school properly, or at least at first, and but ended up like working at the same place I worked at, doing like, I don't know, a mix of like digital stuff, but just whatever, like it's kind of a call center that had, you know, a website, and he could just do so much stuff on the computer. He was quite a bit younger. Like he's about 8 years younger than me, so he'd be coming up to 30 now, actually, fucking hell. And yeah, he's sort of like we're just Google. He's just very like younger millennial now, like, but like that real like digital native millennial of like would just Google anything straight away and know everything, and like I kind of learned that you could just Google whatever, and then like, so kind of like a self-taught dev, and I kind of like would help me a lot to begin with, but also sort of like I saw that what was possible, and very much like fun, easygoing guy, but also smart enough to like have really like good chats with, and yeah, helped me pick my car, my computer, probably helped me with my last computer. He's just like, everyone's got a friend that you like, it's just like your sort of retail advisory board, right? Really good morals, which I hadn't really thought much about as an active, you know, way of thinking about the world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty conciliatory. If something like I don't like or I don't agree with, I'll just kind of, but he'll just be like, no, I don't like that. But not like a dick about it. He's just thinks about things very carefully and then says them to people. And I'm like, oh, you can do that? All right, so here's the fucking kicker. So here's the power into the CPU. You know what? I reckon actually I probably shouldn't have plugged that in either. I mean, screwed it in yet. But I'm still like that. Like if someone says something I don't agree with, like, it's very hard for me to say something. I'm just like, sure. But like, no real buts. No. I don't know. Like, there's some areas where like fairness, things are unfair, I like it. Or like if things are like disorganized and all over the shop, that's where I'll say something. And I guess other people, they don't care about that as much. All right, so they make it all pretty intuitive. Like I don't remember if I like looked at. I probably did look at the manual, but it ends up just sort of being like blip blop, plug it in, see you later, off you go. The plug goes into the plug, sort of thing. All right, so that connects to that. I feel like me saying that is just so like just getting ready to jinx myself, right? So stick around for the fireworks when it all short circuits. So this little guy here connected to something as well, but we'll put that up there. SATA power. That sounds like important. these guys are kind of the same. And this guy. But a lot of these are like also kind of like extension cables basically. So maybe I just got to get the one that is the kind of end of the chain. Yeah, so which I think is this guy. Oh wait. That's not good. This is also another. Is there another cable that I also like pulled out of the guts of it? Remember I sort of like held it up and was like, maybe that was this again. Alright, well, let me get this guy in. Type 4. Peripheral and SATA. 6+2 PCI and 4x4 that going into. So that's the CPU and CPU. So that's. Get this a bit more now. Put it right way up. And then, yeah, this is PCI as well, so that's something or other. And then this obviously plugs into something. Oh, okay, yeah, and then see this plugs, so this is a power type, which I think plugs into one of these lower ones, because it's all just fucking like play school kind of peripheral and SATA. They basically have these little kind of notches that stop you from plugging it into the wrong one as well, I think. Which one is holding me back here? This guy. There we go. Alright, so something a bit more light. Square, square, arch, 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 square. This is square, arch, 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 square. So that's arch, square, 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 arch, arch. Well, maybe I actually don't know. Maybe the shapes actually don't matter. But why would that be the case? Maybe it's just stop. Square, square. Square, arch, 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 square. Maybe that doesn't plug in there. Because they also have like little adapters. Maybe I dropped a cable? I'm pretty sure there was like a big extra cable that I was like, I kind of pulled it out and I was like, oh, this isn't good. Gas, honk. Well, maybe actually that cable was the one that I plugged into the graphics card, which is this here, and it's come around here. So that all makes sense. Comes out. So it is literally this one. and it should go into one of these. Maybe I'll just plug it in and see what happens. Oh, okay, all right, well, oh wait, no, this is a different one, sorry. Oh yeah, this is the one that I unplugged before. Peripheral and SATA. This is peripheral and SATA. Let's see what happens. This is going to go in. Yeah. So maybe it's like the square arch is the square definitely can't take the arch in terms of like, you know, so it's like they've set it up to avoid a misconfiguration with as much flexibility as possible. It's pretty smart. All this stuff's pretty smart. It's made by smart people to do things in a particular way. It's like pretty cool. Just society, all the different things that come together to make stuff like this. I just really appreciate it. All right, we may as well. Let's try and get these. Couldn't have been harder to do it last. Is my head in the way there? I actually don't know how to tell. So it's like the USB. Like the power, like the switch, peripheral. I don't know if peripheral's the right word, but like the switches and stuff that connect, like the outer switches to the motherboard. So it's a bit of a bummer though. This one doesn't take USB-C. That's one of my gripes with this motherboard. I wonder if I could probably get a an adapter for it. Maybe. All right, that's fine. What's in here is a bit of a rough spot to film for sure. And HD LED, power SW, power LED plus, power LED minus, HDD LED, so hard drive LED. And then there's this. Jeez, all right, you know what I'm going to do is put it flat down. Maybe I can make some sort of contraption here. We're right at the end of this stream, so we may as well fucking get a bit nutty with it. Move a photo of my darling mother. Here we go. You see, you can't really see in there, but that's all right. That's fine. Ooh, what's flopping there? Is that this bit? Yeah. What I need is like one of those like little top down like jeweler light kind of setups, I think. So I might actually put this power box back in. Yeah, it's kind of in the way. I'll just get it up and maybe I'll just pin one corner for now. Something tells me I'm not done with it. I'm actually kind of proud that I did a little stream like this because I've sort of like, I've imagined doing things like this, but I get kind of shy about like, well, I'm not shy is the right word. You know what? No, I'm going to leave it out. Like, I know that this isn't, you know, your top tier streaming, whatever. And like I'm sort of used to the idea of streaming my dev, and it doesn't really feel very vulnerable to do it. Okay, so it says F USB 1 O. I'm gonna pull this out so I can see a bit better. It still smells like a little bit of pee. It's so gross. Is that fan there? No, that's right. Okay, so let's just get again. Just leave it for now. So I remember sweating about it for ages, and then I just went for it and I got it right. So like, hopefully, just that happens again. HDD power switch. Maybe I just looked it up. So I feel like it'd be in rows like this. It feels like they're stacked like that. So there it says USB 1. Is there any? This is a USB. There's only one USB. Yeah. So okay. So it's. I'm going to say it's not that. Or that. So okay, I can see FUSB 1, FUSB 3. Great for that fucking word for the power switch. Part of my language. I'm just going to plug only the power in. And I'm going to guess. And then I'll, I guess, turn the rest on and see if the power switch works, and then that'll be something. Like, I don't really need the other lights to be on or anything, so should be right. Okay, while we're at it, so that's the setup power. So it's getting the setup power from this, or is it giving it? I'm not sure. Oh, well, it's getting it, of course, because it's what's that little doohickey? Does that go down here? I feel like it does actually. How many holes has that got? No. This is the stupidest way to do it. But I don't care. Kind of like doing stuff this way. It's just fun. Having a poke around, seeing what happens. It's pretty efficient sometimes. I guess maybe it lets you / gets you to think about what you're seeing a fair bit. So you end up getting a bit of a deeper understanding of, or like not even necessarily an understanding, but like a pretty rich model of what you're looking at in your head. Or I'm just being lazy. But I like that little camera angle change. That was fun. Let's bring it home. hopefully the last time I need to screw this power supply in and out. What I'm worried about is the cat peeing on it again, because it smells like pee. But yeah, fingers crossed that does not happen, basically. So I think like I've kind of like learnt a bit. I've kind of changed my approach to cable management since I did this last time. I was very fixated on the idea of like making this like perfect rigid system, but I've realized you really do. Part of like the way you lay cables out is it needs to have a bit of flex in it, just full stop, right? Like you never know what you're going to need to do, and you never know when you're going to need to break down all your cables and move to your mum's because she's sick, or unpack your computer because your cat pissed on everything, right? So it's not like be sloppy, but like that super rigid design can be a weakness, basically. And what could look a bit messier, but has a bit more flex built into it and a bit more breathing room, can be a feature, essentially. And in some ways, what it's also doing is reflecting the actual sort of properties of the system, like the way that it's ended up actually is reflective of how you're interacting with it, and sort of finding that pattern and just accentuating it a bit, but yeah, not over tightening and trying to make like no margin of error, right? Like you need a bit of wiggle room. So I don't know what this plugs into. I do know this doesn't plug into anything, which is an issue with this board, and I'm not confident of that being the power spot. I'm pretty sure this. I actually think this needs to go onto the CPU. I mean, onto the motherboard, because it's like it's connected to the cooling system, which you would want to be pretty smart, and what are these plugged into? Oh yeah, so the fans are plugged in here and here. This has got 3 slots. Next to each other. Oh, that's interesting. So the fan... Okay, so both fans actually plug into this. And then that comes out to here. So this is definitely like goes to the CPU. I have a vague memory of this guy as well. It's not... LHE. Alright, so it's tricky. Like, definitely can't help me. No one can help me. LHE. Fucking love these things. Okay, my money's on this. I vaguely remember it being this as well, so let's see what happens, I guess. Beautiful, none of the fans turn on. So let's just be dumb about it. Let's tuck these guys in here. Yeah, it's fine. Let's just plug it in, see what happens. Okay, so risks we're looking at. So you buy 25 meters of this from Amazon. It is so fucking useful. You just cut it. It's about the cheapest Velcro, I think, you can get, maybe. Okay, so risks we've got are I've left greasy muck between diodes and that's caused a short. Pretty unlikely. Well, actually, medium likely. It's never happened before. That fan LHE is not plugged into the right spot. Medium likely. Can't see anything else that would take 3 though. And I don't know. I feel unlucky, I guess. And obviously the big one is like the first one is that this power, like, this is the like this power switch is plugged in the wrong one. So I'm just going to try plug it into a couple and seeing, like, I know that I should just look this up, but I just don't feel like it. And also, I might have completely fucked the graphics card. Okay, so I switched the power supply on. Nothing? All right. Hi. On the wall. Okay, all right. So it's USB 1, that's USB 2. So is there any chance it's sideways? Seems kind of risky, but let's just see what happens. I'm going to have to look this up. How am I going to look it up? I don't actually know. I might even have the manual. Actually, yeah, I would. Oh, but it's so fucking packed. I'm not even... No. Get that killer fish. Okay, firstly, let's just check if there's anything else that could be missing. They all look fine. That's all plugged in. That's all plugged in. That looks good. All right, I'm going to have to look it up, which might just break this stream. So if so, awesome. Thank you for hanging out. And if not, what's this? Aurus. A-U-R-O-S. A-U-R-O-S. Robo Mini. Guide. Okay. Is that spot? Right. Hey Siri, call Trent. Hey man, how you doing? Yeah, good. I'm just I'm just letting you know I'm like just finishing up, just being like rat mode on a computer. And so I'll just have a shower and head over. So probably like half an hour. Yeah, cool. Yeah, perfect. I'm rebuilding the Meshalicious tower. I like tore it down. Like, it's my little home PC. Bones peed in it like last year, and I was just like, this is too much to deal with, and I just like, it worked. It was fine. It was just like all through the grill and shit, and I just like put it in the garage. It was like whatever. Um, and but then I've got my work laptop is in the drawer in rice, and I was like, fuck, like I'm just gonna leave that because I don't want to touch it, blah blah blah, whatever. So I was like, all right. It's been pretty fun. Yeah, right. That's like, I guess, life systems in general. It's just liquid in, liquid out. Try and reduce entropy where possible. What? Oh yeah, yeah. And the like the pulley system shade sail, like it's like such a contraption. I think it'll work. Um, I think I think you'll enjoy. I've like, because you know how I was like fully like obsessed with shade sails leading up to the wedding and around the wedding and whatever. So it's like an extension of that. Um, so I think you would enjoy it. Come around and do a bit of rigging, sail away with me. I'll see you in a bit. Yeah, sounds good. I think like, yeah, a bit of buffer to just like, actually, I'm still looking at the computer trying to figure out where to plug the power switch in. So I'm like, and I was like, fuck, what time is it? It was like right on one. So I was like, shit, I'll just keep trying to call. But I'll hopefully I just find the slot, plug it in, have a shower, head over. See you, man. Yeah, I guess so. I kind of know the way just from pigeon style. Yeah. So, but send me the address anyway because it's a good idea. But I won't look because I want to see if I can get there. It's the same with this power switch. I just want to see if I can do it. I have given up and looked up where to plug this pin in. See ya. So I don't know if that was still going. If so, I'm going to go because I need to use my phone. But, up and running. I have one thing I was going to try, but I thought I'd just check something first. But no. It's up. We're still plugged in, stuff like that. I just got to figure out how to plug this switch in, and I want to use my phone again. So thanks for hanging out. And where's the end button? Officially sign home.